TarajiP.Henson is arguably one of the greatest talents of her generation. Yet when conversations are had about the creme de la creme of black actresses, it's always these four ladies whose names get mentioned, and many times TarajiP.Henson's name is left out of the conversation. And by no means am I saying that these four women aren't more than talented and deserving of the attention and accolades they receive. I just believe that when we mention our greats, it's time to add TarajiP.Henson's name and resume into the equation. Even though she had been a working actress for years, many of us were introduced to Taraji through her breakout role as Yvette in the ghetto fairy tale Baby Boy, also co-starring Tyrese Gibson, who played the lead character Jody. From there, Taraji went on to play the most diverse characters of any actress in her peer group, putting her talents and range on display for both television and movies, and many times taking on both mediums simultaneously.
What do I have to do? Y'all didn't see the range there?
Yeah.
I'm still playing cookie, and then I gave you a rocket scientist. What?
And even after her phenomenal performance as Catherine Goebel in Hidden Figures, which is one of my favorite performances of Taraji.Henson, and this monologue gives me chills to this day, she was left feeling overworked, depleted, and underpaid by Hollywood, which brought her to the difficult choice of perhaps walking away from the profession that she loved. She said to Gayle King in an interview while promoting the movie The Color Purple, "I'm tired of hearing my sisters saying the same thing over and over again, calling out what she perceives as a pay gap for black women in Hollywood. I hear people go, 'You work a lot.' Well, I have to. The math ain't mathin'." She went on to point out that a successful Hollywood career requires having a team of people supporting her. "Bills come with what we do. We don't do this alone," she said. "The fact that we're up here, there's a whole team behind us. They have to get paid. Know that off the top, Uncle Sam is getting 50%. Your team is getting 30% of whatever you gross. Now do the math." She goes on to say, "I'm only human, and it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to negotiate, I'm at the bottom again like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired," she explained. "It wears on you, because what does that mean? What does that tell me?" As Hollywood and the powers that be continue to not financially compensate her and fellow black actors in the same way that they pay their white counterparts, even after proving that their movies are big box office draws too. The pain and rejection was so overwhelming at times. Taraji struggled to promote The Color Purple without literally breaking down, as she struggled under the weight and pressure of appearing to be a successful, wealthy actress, knowing that it was all a facade and she was literally at her breaking point. And even though she never expressed to the world everything she was experiencing, just one look at her and you could tell she was going through it. And by the time Tyler Perry whipped up his next movie, Straw, Taraji was ready to channel her pain and anger and frustration into her next character. In a performance so authentic, audiences instantly resonated with the character and praised Taraji for her moving performance. Taraji.Henson stars as Janiyah Wilkinson, a single mother of one, an introvert without a village, a woman heavily laden with burdens, and no one to help lighten the load. It's Janiyah and her baby girl against the world, and the world is whooping her ass. From the moment we enter Janiyah's world, everything screams hardship, from her daughter Aria's prescription bottles scattered around their home to the eviction notice prominently displayed on the kitchen table. It instantly checks all of the recognizable tropes of a female protagonist in a Tyler Perry film. Negative stereotypes? Check. Done wrong by a black man? Check. We never see or hear about Aria's father, but the condition in which Janiyah and Aria live tells us everything we need to know about him. He clearly isn't helping her financially, nor is he sharing the responsibility of emotionally caring for and raising Aria. Broke, busted, and disgusted? Is there any type of female in a Tyler Perry movie? Even if they are financially successful, then they are morally bankrupt, according to Tyler Perry. Experiencing horrific trauma in this film, times 10. Terrible wigs? This time only one. Every time we got to the scenes with Tiana Taylor's character, I kept thinking her pixie cut is so cute and it's an appropriate style for her profession. Why couldn't she just wear her hair? And you see how easy it is? A bad wig in a Tyler Perry film will leave you distracted. Now, where was I? Janiyah wakes up exhausted to the sound of rap music blaring through the walls first thing in the morning. Her daughter sleeps with headphones on all night beside her. Fully awake, Janiyah perches at the side of her bed, head hanging low, shoulders slumped, waking up drained, already knowing the BS the day is sure to bring. And for the next 30 minutes, every bad thing that could happen to a person happens to Janiyah. As soon as she steps outside the door, it's already someone waiting for her, begging with their hand out. This person is Benny, a homeless man from Janiyah's neighborhood, played by comedian and actor Sinbad. And on a side note, it was good to see Sinbad acting and looking better after he suffered a massive stroke in November 2020. And although she has nothing to give, she gives him her last and gets her literal business put on blast by her landlord, who is angered by her act of kindness because, of course, Janiyah is still behind on her rent. And she announces to everyone in their apartment complex that she's going to evict Janiyah and her daughter. After dropping her daughter off at school, she enters her chaotic job at the grocery store. And of course, it's the first of the month, so everybody got their food stamps, their shopping carts are packed to the brim, and they're angry about the lines. As soon as she clocks in, no hello, no good morning, nothing. Her boss, Richard, immediately starts berating her, and Janiyah quietly accepts the disrespect as she makes her way to the register, where she endures more verbal abuse from the customers. And that's another element that makes this movie hard to watch at times, because not only is Janiyah navigating all of these hardships alone, but everyone except for Benny and her coworker Bunny talk down to her, disrespect her. The constant barrage of insults is cruel, and she seems so broken down, so numb to it all, that she takes it in and doesn't stand up for herself. And one of her worst run-ins literally ends up with an off-duty police officer whose road rage causes her to have an accident, and he calls her out of her name, throws a drink at her window, and threatens her life. An on-duty white female officer steps in to defuse the situation. He instructs her to make her suffer, which seems excessive and redundant on Tyler Perry's part because, again, from the moment we meet Janiyah, she is suffering. Her already raggedy car gets ticketed and impounded for expired registration. And as the saying goes, when it rains, it pours literally. All of this happens in the pouring rain, leaving Janiyah having to return to work 2 hours late after asking her boss to give her 30 minutes to drop off some lunch money to her daughter at school. Upon her returning to work, her boss doesn't even ask what happens. He presumes to know since someone saw her at the bank across the street, and he fires her and refuses to give her her last check, stating that he will mail it to her. As soon as she gets home in the pouring rain, she finds her and her daughter's things on the street, with her landlord, of course, showing no compassion but taunting her for failing to pay her during her break. So Janiyah has no choice but to return to work and demand her final check from her boss. He still refuses to give it to her, and of course the store gets robbed. And the robber read her name out loud on her name tag, and her boss of course assumes that they knew each other and immediately accuses her of setting the whole thing up. Now here's for me where the Tyler Perry movie starts Tyler Perrying, meaning it nosedives into absurdity and doesn't make sense. For one, Janiyah has been docile this entire movie, and suddenly she becomes combative when the robber tries to take her book bag, which has her daughter's science project in it. Like, was it worth your life, Janiyah, to fight this man? She ends up putting a hot one in him to protect her bag. Her boss is a witness to all of this and immediately calls the cops on her and says, "We'll see what kind of parent you'll be from prison." That triggered her, and she pulled the trigger on him. So now there's cash laying on the desk, more than enough to pay her rent. And to her credit, Janiyah is an honest person and only wants what she's worked for. So I don't understand why she didn't just take the amount of her paycheck in cash so that she could give it to her landlord immediately instead of taking her paycheck and the loaded gun to the bank. But I guess if she didn't do it that way, then she wouldn't have had the interaction with the branch manager of the bank, Nicole, played by Sherry Shepherd. And I won't give a play-by-play of what happens in the bank, but to summarize it, the time in the bank is spent for Janiyah to come up with a plan to turn herself in and to find a safe place for Aria to go, because she knows she's going to have to do time for what happened in the grocery store. During this time of planning, she also connects with police officer Kay Raymond, played by Tiana Taylor. And these two women work together, going above and beyond to ensure that Janiyah got out of the situation alive, because it became clear that without these two women advocating for her on every turn, the outcome would have been so different. The two black male cops were so quick to write her off as a common criminal without even attempting to try and figure out how someone could go from no criminal record to unaliving two people. Even with one officer viewing her home recently evicted, he had zero empathy for her. And the white male cops seem more concerned with making a show of everything instead of trying to lure Janiyah and the hostages out safely. And the major spoiler alert and plot twist of this entire movie is that Janiyah's daughter, Aria, had been passed away this whole time. All the interactions between mother and daughter we thought were real were figments of Janaya's imagination. She went into full-blown mental psychosis after her daughter's passing, and she never took a moment to process what happened, but continued the next day like nothing happened. Needless to say, I was in tears, and I don't really cry when watching movies, but Taraji's performance, really everyone, even the characters that pissed me off, had me bawling my eyes out. And even though I thought this movie was really good overall, it was too heavy and I vowed to never watch it again. But then after that plot twist, I had to go back and see what I missed the first time around. Damn you, Tyler Perry. So the second go round of watching the movie, I got something completely different. It seemed as if every scene involving her daughter or people from her daughter's school was Janaya indicting herself on her parenting. I believe her daughter asking for lunch money was probably her last interaction with her daughter, which was why she insisted on getting that money to her all throughout the movie. But after the second watch, it seemed to haunt her that she couldn't do for her daughter financially. She said at one point that she worked 2 jobs and couldn't maintain half of Arya's expenses. And I think that's the most devastating part of the movie, is that Arya was all Janaya had in this world, and even she was taken away from her. She sacrificed so much, and in an instant her daughter was gone. But as the movie progressed, the woman without a village was finally heard and seen by her community. Sherry Shepherd's character was patient with her when others wouldn't, and she reminded Janaya as she was holding the bank hostage, "I see you." And when she was on the phone with Officer Raymond kept reiterating to her, "Janaya, I hear you." And pretty soon her whole community heard and seen what she was going through, and they empathized with her, and they protested on her behalf. They forced the media to cover her story when a lot of times only our crimes are broadcasted, but the why is never in consideration. And the public pressure caused those officers to stand down. Officer Raymond may have bought Janaya more time, but it was the public and the possibility of an all-out riot that stopped those officers from storming that bank and reuniting Janaya with her daughter. Now, for those of you who haven't watched the movie and have no intentions of seeing the movie, I totally understand. Even the people that say that he makes the same movies over and over and over again, I've said the same thing too. I totally get it. And I agree. I swore off Tyler Perry's movies years ago. I came back from Mea Culpa because I love Kelly Rowland and wanted to support her and Trevante Rhodes. Saw that movie, got pissed off again, swore him off again. Came back for the 688 film, loved it, and decided to give this film a chance because 1, I love Taraji, and 2, if I hated it, I could always turn it off. But the way he executed this film, he did a good job. Was it perfect? No. But he did a much better job executing this film, and to know that it was only shot in 4 days is incredible. Usually I would frown at that because a lot of his movies feel rushed and sloppy because he doesn't take his time, and he insists on writing, directing, producing, and sometimes acting in his films. A lot of times the outcome is a mess, and unfortunately for him, the bar has been raised with other black directors like Jordan Peele, Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay, Spike Lee. I could go on. But having a seasoned actress like Taraji, he was able to pull this off. So you guys let me know what you think. What is your favorite Taraji P. Henson movie or favorite Tyler Perry movie? And how do you think he did with Straw? And what do you think of the criticism that Tyler Perry's films receive, and that he always showcases black women's trauma as the running theme of his movies or sometimes the running joke of his movies? I feel like what's missing is our resilience in a lot of his movies. A lot of times in the course of a 2-hour movie, we'll watch a black woman get drugged through the mud, literally. And then in the last 20 minutes, she might get a happy ending, and then the movie's over. In Straw, it became surrender as her form of a happy ending, and then Janaya faded to black. And if you're anything like me, I tend to overthink everything. So I wonder what becomes of a person that tried to do things the quote-unquote right way. Janaya worked her butt off, asked for nothing, tried to be a law-abiding citizen, a productive member of society, and still ended up in prison, which is the fate that many people in poverty can't escape. And how do you rehabilitate a mind that is so fractured and grief-stricken in a prison setting? I know it's just a movie, but how many Janayas do we see on the news every day or possibly passing by us in the world? And if we do meet a Janaya, how many of us have it in us to be like branch manager Nicole or Officer Raymond versus everyone else in the movie. I could really go on for hours with this one. I do hope this movie really gives Taraji the accolades that she is long overdue. She did say on the Breakfast Club interview that her price went up, not only because of Tyler Perry increasing her pay, but because she spoke out publicly about the pay inequity, and so many people thought her career was going to be over for speaking out loud. But instead, it caused a real dialogue and actual change for her, and hopefully all actors that are underpaid and undervalued in this industry. So friends, that's all I got. If you made it this far, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment. I would love to know what you thought of this movie, and until next time, thank you so much for watching.